We'll start off with our usual of just going around and introducing ourselves. If you'd like to say a few words in case we have...
Okay, I'm Pam Bowler, and I live in the 19th Ward, and I'm a member of Urna Baptist Church.
I'm Betsy Robinson. I'm a member of the 19th Ward Association, and I go to St. Monica's.
And you're just in time, Cecilia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cecilia Golden. I'm the soon-to-be Deputy Superintendent of Schools for Teaching and Learning, Rochester City School District.
Wow.
Yes.
Great.
And I'm a member of this committee, and I live in the 19th Ward.
Yes. And we go back a few years.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Deputy Superintendent.
Deputy Superintendent for Teaching and Learning.
Right.
Thank you.
And Julie.
I'm Julie Philipp. I'm with the Democrat and Chronicle, and I co-lead our new Time to Educate initiative.
Great.
Eleanor Coleman. I'm with Oasis and Youth Build.
Jennifer Lenio. I'm the area coordinator for Rochester Public Library.
And Mike Schmidt, I'm Chief Operating Officer with the school district.
Thank you very much for coming, Mike. Yeah, today I ended up calling, or I had emailed Eric Rose from the city about, are we still on for having a staffing for the school, the community center at School 16, because we managed to get the cafeteria and gym set up as a community center and the renovations. And we thought we were going to have it staffed by city folks, but we're going to have to find alternate ways of doing it. So
Why can't they do it?
they didn't close the center over at Flint Street as they had planned when I spoke to them last August. And we had heard in the fall that from Kevin, who was the manager over at the Roxy Sinkler Center and keeping us up to date on what was going on, that maybe that Flint Street Center wasn't going to close, but we'd probably get somebody from Adams Street, and apparently that hasn't come through either. But you will talk to them in a couple of weeks when you go.
Yeah, we meet, generally meet bi-weekly with different constituency groups in the city. So we have a meeting the week of July 9th with the Parks and Recreation Department on a variety of initiatives, and I certainly will bring this up at that night.
Great.
I think they would be excellent. You know, the, what do they call it? City rec, isn't that what they call it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, we need them, definitely, you know, because the kids now will have a place to play.
Mm-hmm.
Before, there was very little space.
we'll start off with the library.
Just a quick updates. Tomorrow evening, right here at Arnett at 6, there's going to be music and a celebration for the new murals on the building. There's going to be an ice cream truck and some remarks and thanking. Those murals are all thanks to various donors. So we're very grateful for donations that allowed us to continue beautifying the building. So that should be a very nice and probably fairly big event. Of course, summer reading is going to kick off in the next couple weeks at every city library branch. Here at Arnett, upcoming, they've got the Seneca Park Zoomobile on the 11th of July at 3. And they've got Play Rocks happening here on Saturday the 21st. That's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And Play Rocks is also happening all over the city at I think every branch, library branch, and then other community locations as well. So that's going to be a huge deal everywhere. For the teens, they've got Intro to Fencing on Thursday the 19th at 2. And for the adults, 2 special craft programs this month. On Tuesday the 3rd at 4:30, they've got painted toasting glasses. And on Wednesday the 25th at 5:30, they've got magazine coasters. So anyone who's crafty can join us for those. Unfortunately, I don't have the Wheatley July programs yet, but rest assured, they'll have a ton of programs going on, and if anyone's interested in looking those up on our website, it's rockcitylibrary.org, and also obviously flyers available in Wheatley itself. I can say they're getting going with their community garden. They've hired Taproot Collective to come help them this summer, and there'll be weekly classes for kids and learning how to garden, getting hands-on experience, and all of the food being grown on the Wheatley property is for the community. So there's going to be veggies and fruits and herbs and all kinds of things.
Question. Is the library and the city school district, are they coordinated with the expected books to be read by kids? Do you have that list over the summer?
I'm pretty sure our children's consultant, Tanya Burton, has pretty good connections with the school district.
Okay.
And I'm assuming, I know in past years we've certainly gotten those lists, so I assume she's in contact and gotten those lists this year. I don't know 100% for sure, but she's pretty on top of everything. So.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you very much, Jen. We've been working together on this committee for how many years now? You started attending 4.5. And for a while there, we were meeting here and there, and quite often the door would be locked at this venue or that venue, and Jennifer volunteered to open the library up for us, and we've had our meetings running in the library every week, every month since then, and I want to really thank you. She's going to be, unfortunately, some of the cutbacks. She's being moved to the downtown library and won't be joining us in the branch libraries anymore.
Who's gonna open the room?
Well, hopefully...
Bruce or one of his staff will be
okay.
attending these meetings, so the meetings can continue here. So just won't be me.
But it's really been a pleasure having you
Thank you, John.
to work with, and we're going to really miss you. You can always come and take part in the meetings.
Just for fun.
Get your picture taken. Okay, let's see, what do we have next here? School 3, we usually go through each, we've got a bunch of schools that we've had some association with over the years, and generally go through, try to get some updates. I haven't heard anything from School 3, and Elliot Clyburn, who did make it to the last meeting, isn't here today so far. I haven't connected with him, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it. School 10, hopefully, I've spoken with Lee Loomis, who is up in Canada at a Rotary meeting, some international Rotary thing, and he's, of course, he's the volunteer coordinator there and at School 10, and he's hoping that he'll be able to maintain his volunteers there. School 10 is closing or closed as we speak here, and they're going to get go through the renovation process for the next year and a half or something like that.
They're moving back July of 20.
Also, they will wait till the summer before they go back.
That's the scheduled completion date as of right now.
Ah, okay. We had hoped it would be a one-year affair, but it didn't pan out that way.
We are, and I can go through this if you want me to, because there's operational things at each one of those if you don't want to speak on it. But the reason for the delay at School 10 from a 1-year program to a 2-year construction program is because of still not the approval of the Smart Bond grant. And to keep it very general, the Smart Bond is sitting for approval in the governor's office. It's an $8.5 million grant. It's tied to 3 schools. So it's, in a sense, supplemental money for School 10, School 4, and for School 16. The majority of the 8.5 is being utilized at School 16, and we, in a sense, had special permission to get started with that school because they were already in swing space, and we couldn't move the rest of the schools around without working on that one first. but by ordinance, we're not allowed to award contracts until the smart bond's approved. So the delay now has caused School 10 and School 4 both to become 24-month projects instead of 12-month. We're still gonna move them out, because if the smart bond is approved in August, then they'll be in their swing space and we can get started and maybe accelerate it. But, we wanted to make sure we could promise what we knew we could deliver, which would be, and then there's always a risk that it doesn't get approved, and then we have to go back and modify the program. It's a $2 million of the smart bond for 10 school, $2 million of it for 4, and whatever is left, 4.5 million, give or take, 4.6 million has already been expended for 16. And the smart bond only allows us to do transportable replacements. So each one of those school, or pre-K classrooms. So taking the transportables off the property at 16 and building the addition on the school, in a sense, is how that money was utilized. And the same would be true at number 10 has actually 6 transportable classrooms there that we're going to be taking down, and that's where the gym is going to be, in the cafeteria up there. So so that's a July of 20. School 16 is on schedule, as we said when I came in. We're looking at really probably a substantial completion around August 1st. Fingers crossed, of course. But we're kind of, if you drove by today, there's an awful lot of site work going on, sidewalks going in. So it's, and a lot of the inside of the building has been completed. We're doing some touch-up work on the gym and some things in the back of the building, but we're doing quite well there. So everyone's on a double shift. So you'll see guys working there all they're there all hours of the night, which is the only way we got it to completion. So we're pretty satisfied with that. I'm going to jump down to 19 school. We've got a very large construction project going on there this summer. In fact, we're doing some street work and doing some bus loop work on the front, and then quite a bit of construction this summer in the building. Mostly upgrades to the mechanical systems and some other work over there. School 29 also has quite a bit of construction work going on this year. We're replacing a lot of the air conditioning units, the window units that are in the building. That has a very large population of students with disabilities. So having that building ready and accessible for September is absolutely essential.
Excuse me, where is 29 these days?
Place it's been for a while.
Yeah.
Kirkland
Yeah, so
and
it's-
Kenwood.
Is it still in there?
Still there,
Yeah.
yeah. 19 is still there. They're all in the same location. It's a good question, though, because they do move around. School 41, we actually moved everybody out of the building, or everyone will be moved out of the building as of Friday, and they're turning over their staff. They're probably bringing in, I think it's about an 85% turnover, and bringing new teachers into that program. So we're kind of facilitating all that. We're also doing a complete refresh of that building, fresh coat of paint, and kind of upgrading all the mechanical, some of the mechanical systems. Next summer is a very significant project going on there, where we're doing quite a bit of work around the cafeteria. If you've been to School 41, the way it's organized on the first floor is really not sufficient. So we're going to do a main office, a repurposing of the main office, kind of turning the cafeteria into a much more functional space, and then some other work in the building.
Mike, excuse me, what's a community school?
Pardon me?
What is a community school? That's what it says, it's a community.
Yes. I'll maybe defer.
I think the community school means that they're going to be, they will have wraparound services.
Absolutely.
So they'll have,
What is that?
they will have medical support for kids,
Oh,
dental
Dental.
support, that kind of thing. So that it's more of a one-stop shop.
Right. Bring all the community resources into the school
Yeah.
where the students are. We have a couple different models of that. School 17
yeah,
is a
that's
community
what I'm
school.
familiar.
So they're kind of having that. And when we do complete a renovation on that site, then all those community resources would be upgraded like we did at 17. We put a dental clinic in, we put a health clinic in. So we would do the same thing at 41. But right now, just bringing the resources there is really essential. And then that gets staff and new administration and so forth. in the
New
building.
administration?
Yep.
Do we know who they are?
We do. I don't think I can
That's
announce it this
okay.
evening.
Don't
Yes,
worry.
but they've been selected and they're already up and running. I don't think I can announce that tonight, though.
That's okay.
I'll leave that to the superintendent.
What percentage of the teachers are they replacing again?
Yeah, I think we're up 85, 90%.
85, 90%, my God.
A lot of boxes, a lot of moving. And then School 44, we're not doing an awful lot of construction work there, but we are reconfiguring the building so it'll be a fully, I say functional, it's not the correct term, but fully operational pre-K 6 building. Right now they're missing a grade level. I think it's fourth grade, if I remember
it's
correctly.
probably up
Fourth
to
or fifth.
fourth grade.
So we actually work with the building leadership and kind of reorganize the classrooms so that they have pre-K 3, 2 pre-K 4s, and then 2 classrooms per grade level, as well as classrooms set aside for ESL programming and students with disabilities and so on and so forth. And it needed that bit of, I wouldn't say a restart, but kind of reorganization internally, not actually construction, but just to kind of get them right-sided. They've been, because the status had changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. It was open, it was closed, it was open, it was closed. It really needed to kind of have a starting point. So the facilities team worked with the administration and we did that.
Is that for September?
Yes. I don't know about, I don't, placement office isn't under my, as the one thing, it's not on my team. So I don't know if they're gonna fully, populate the grade level that's missing, but at least we've got a set aside of classrooms there if they choose to do that, and that would be something.
So things kind of straightened out since we had that snafu in January there where it was announced to the teachers there that they were going to be closing after 1 year.
Yeah, I'll allow others to speak to that. That's the update from our standpoint. I can't really speak to the snafu, so to speak. And then the XCATs, is that what we refer to as the robotics program?
Yeah, the robotics program.
So I do have an update on that as well.
Oh, great.
It's amazing what I can come up with. So I don't want to say personally, but I worked with Julie and I forgot the gentleman's name who actually leads the Wilson group. But
Jeff
he's not the
he's one of the volunteers.
One of the volunteers. There's another gentleman that actually runs it now.
Mike, excuse me, what's robotics? I'm sorry.
It's an extracurricular program that's it's Wilson Commencement, Edison, and then there's also a team from East that's more of a district team. So there's 3 different robotics teams that operate across the city. Right now they're in a very large space out on the Edison campus. Because we're doing some significant renovations at Edison. We're building a new broadcast center, 2 new art rooms. We're building a makerspace as well as a bunch of different technology spaces, a new auto shops. We have to use that space as a staging area, so the robotics program has to move somewhere for the 18-19 school year. And actually, it's only the first half of the 18 school year. So we met with
robotics is what?
They make robots.
They literally make robots.
It's a competition that started back in the 90s.
Cool thing.
Where teams from various schools would make a robot that was supposed to accomplish some particular function. They were given a list of things that it was supposed to do. Okay. And they built it, and then they'd compete against other schools. It might be picking up balls and putting them in a bin or whatever.
The task comes out January 1st. And the students have 60 days to complete the project. So
and somebody came here to explain that.
At the last meeting. Yep.
So my team is all in on making sure we make that happen for the kids. So what we've done is we've kind of restaged them at a couple different spots around the district for the fall, which is a bit of their off time. So they do a lot of their internal, some of the CAD work, some of the drawings on the computers, and some of their organizational meetings. We've given them some space. I don't mean to have my back to you. We've given them some space around the district to do that in the fall. If everything, once again, knock on wood, goes according to plan with the construction, they'll be back in their current space by mid-December at Edison. So, and the reason why we're not actually doing something specific at Wilson is the weight of the equipment. So there's an awful lot of pretty high-capacity lathes and drills and so forth that they're using for that. There's not a space at Wilson that we can actually move it all in and sustain it there. What we're going to have to do is when we do the renovation to Wilson Commencement in Phase 3, then we'll have a section of that building and kind of set something up for a makerspace, robotics lab, that type of thing. So but we needed a place to stage it in the fall. So that caused some anxiety because there was some moments there where we weren't really sure exactly where they were going to go. But we were able to kind of solve that.
Where are they going?
We're going to utilize Jefferson campus because we have some swing space over there, so they're going to have a space there. We found them a space inside in a different part of Edison to do it, and then there's also some spaces at Wilson Commencement and at East. So we've got 4 or 5 spaces that kids can go with their instructors for the fall. And Julie at Edison, Walter Larkin at Julie at Wilson, Walter at Edison, and Sean Dr. Nelms at East all have kind of worked with us, and so we're in pretty good shape with that.
You're going to put this all in the newspaper?
Am I going to put it in the newspaper?
No, somebody. Whoever does it.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in the regular city news.
Yeah, we try to get information out. One of the reasons that we have Julie here.
I mean, I've never read, other than the article Julie did, or I mean, told us about. I haven't seen much about any of this.
You know,
The robotics program will be something, certainly something that this community should be very proud of. I mean, I'm not personally involved in that
Right.
in a sense, but having spent now 6 weeks with them and kind of getting if you don't kind of sit with them and have an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish, then it's awful hard to provide them the
Yeah.
support they need. But when I've kind of sat now and watched not only the robots that they're building, but what the kids are certainly learning about, the trips they're going on, it's an amazing program,
Does
and
somebody,
a couple hundred
does
kids.
somebody subsidize this? I mean, I know in the
Yeah.
school district doesn't do it, does it?
no, they,
Xerox funds some of
Yeah,
it.
Xerox has an outside entity, and the school district certainly funds quite a bit of it, sure.
came
All the
in.
materials.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Grace. I teach preschool at 44 School.
Oh,
Grace.
great.
Grace Bilodeau, right?
And she signed our sheet.
Yeah, where is our
Other
sign?
view.
Over there.
Ah, there you go.
So if you don't have any additional questions for me, I've got a couple of parent events I've got to get to tonight.
Oh,
but
okay.
You've got something.
No, I think you've covered most of the things that we would have had questions for.
Okay.
And hopefully you'll have some good news about staffing for the
Yeah,
center.
I don't have, it's really it's certainly a city initiative for staff. Well, all the schools now, I think the important thing to note is all the schools in phase 2 are set up for community, I use the term community access. So whatever the city or other groups want to utilize the building, the gym, cafeteria, the main office, all have ability to lock off the rest of the school, so you don't have to open the entire building. So that's one design feature we put into all 8 of the elementary schools in this phase, and I think it's going to be very helpful. And we haven't talked about the ones that aren't in the building in this group, but we got some great stuff coming.
Mike, just tell me, who would we contact to see about city rec? Who would be in charge
I would think
of
the
it?
commissioner would be the person, and I don't have her contact information, but that would be the person I would.
Eric Rose's
Eric,
supervisor,
Eric
yeah.
would be the person.
Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talked to him last year, and that's where we thought we had some coverage, but then I imagine their budget probably got cut and they delayed doing some of the
Yeah, I really
renovations.
couldn't speak to them. They're really trying to, everyone's trying to do a little more with a little less. So I think
What's
they're,
his last name?
Rose,
No,
well,
that's the person, you want his supervisor.
yeah,
You
what's
want Eric Rose.
what's her name? Do you remember?
I don't have their contact information. No.
I'll look it up for you and get you.
Okay, Eric, letter, because we need to get that pinned down.
Mm.
I don't want the kids wandering around without any supervision out there. And the teachers having to go out and supplement on the playground.
Oh, are you talking about playground or the?
Yeah, well,
the
kid
center?
couldn't city rec do
Well,
that?
no, we're looking, the main thing we were looking at was getting staffing for after hours at the gym and the cafeteria at the rec center, basically, or the community center.
We're spending a lot of
that's built
money
into-
getting it built, so we
Oh,
need
yeah,
to get
you want to
done.
use it. In fact, one of the meetings we had, we were talking about all the things, the pools in some of the schools, the gyms, and so many things that stay idle during the summer because we don't staff these things to really keep kids busy and.
That one lady was going to do that, remember, get the pools open?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have to get back.
Yeah, I was going to say, the pools are open.
Not in the city schools, not in the high schools.
Foundation was,
Absolutely, the pools are
Where?
open.
Foundation Academy.
Marshall's open, and the pools are open.
Yeah.
Marshall and
During the
what is
summer?
Foundation, the
Yeah,
old-
Absolutely.
old
Madison.
Madison?
They may rotate a pool offline for repairs, but the pools are open, and the rec centers are all open in the summer. I mean, I think
The
we're,
rec centers, but yes, Mike, but not the pools.
yeah, I don't mean to take issue with it, but I think if you look at their brochure, there's an awful lot of programming that's being done all over the
Adams Street
city.
is.
Like,
Yeah, so
but like Wilson Commencement, is their pool isn't open to the
No.
public, is it?
I can certainly double check. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
work for the
I
city,
don't
so I don't
know.
know all
No, I
their
don't
schedules.
know.
But I do know they're hardworking people. I know they actually get a lot
I
of
know
things
Joe
going on, so.
Baldino was at one of
So.
the meetings, and it sounded
Yeah.
like he didn't think it was open, but that it could be because
Their
it's got
website is pretty
external
accessible. I
access.
think I would check. I think more often than not, the facilities are open.
What would be the website?
Park City Parks website?
City rec?
Yeah, I would think
What,
that
for-
their summer programming, I would
Okay.
think that would be it.
Well, we'll have to.
I haven't seen
We'll look
anything in the
into it,
paper,
but-
I've been looking.
Okay.
I don't know anybody at the newspaper.
You don't know it? Yeah, you got to get good news to the newspaper, you know.
Betsy, people really don't,
Go ahead.
people aren't getting their information from the newspaper as much anymore.
It's
really
just me,
not,
probably.
Really on the
We don't
websites.
really cover that sort of stuff anymore. We just don't have the resources. So we are down to 1.5 education reporters for the entire region. So we really aren't the paper of record that you're used to anymore.
But what about all the people that don't have computers?
They come to the library.
I
Or
mean,
they
that
use
would
their
be
phone.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
also use
their
I
phone.
think communication is a big issue for a lot of people because of that.
I'll follow up on the
It's just
pool
not
football.
doable
Okay,
anymore.
cool.
I can't-
More open than there now.
We just don't have staff to do it anymore.
As a former lifeguard.
I'm
My
just,
other- in my other life.
Shaking my head because, I
Thank
mean,
you
to
very
me,
much.
welcome.
if you live in a
Good luck
city,
to you.
this is
Oh, thank you.
services that should be provided.
Right.
Thank you,
See you
Mike.
again. All right, stay in touch. All right,
Come
nice to meet you.
again.
Thank you.
I'll be back in, when you send me the letter, I'll be back. Really nice to meet you. Wonderful day. I know our pastor Carl's in the next couple of
Well,
weeks.
I'm sure you've got a
September
good
5th,
point.
I'm gonna run right to the mailbox. I never get mail. This is gonna be great. All right, have a nice evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I don't use my computer that way. I just use it for email.
Right, but most of the world does now, so.
I just don't
look
think-
for stuff like that in the paper.
No.
But, I mean, the whole group of people that don't have computers are left out.
Well, you
But
know.
almost everyone has a cell phone now, and you can get.
When's the
get
next
it on
computer
the phone.
class at the Arnett Library here?
Yeah, you were supposed to do
I
that
know.
last month, Betsy.
I know, I didn't get there.
Computer tutor, every Monday, from 4 to 5, this library.
4 to 5, it was
4
5 to 6, and I
No,
didn't.
it's 4 to 5.
Where did you see that? Somewhere.
The Arnett program flyer.
Oh, I
Which you
didn't.
can just walk in here and say, could I have a copy of that, please? You
can
might not
give
even
you
have to
one
say
tonight.
it. It might be right there.
Okay. But you've got a whole group of people that don't use computers.
No, but almost
gotta
every,
go?
even very people in poverty tend to have these phones now, and you can get the same information on the phone. It's small,
Yeah.
but you
no.
can get it.
But would they know enough to look at, I mean,
Huh?
how would you know to look? I
Well,
mean,
people, you know,
They
if they're
Google.
interested in certain
They
thing,
Google.
they'll.
That's where everyone looks
they'll
for
go check.
everything these days.
Yeah.
I guess I'm missing a lot.
Yep,
Yes,
we
you
got it. We
are.
got to get you clicking on links. I keep sending you stuff with links and.
I can't get the links.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm doing well, I think, in the emailing.
That's right. We, at 16, I talked to the office today, and Principal Carla Roberts is on vacation this week, so that's one reason she's not here.
Carl, is that her name?
Carla
Carl.
Roberts.
And she's brand new?
No, she was there for 2 years, and she finally became permanent this spring. And
Here she is.
she's this person whose back you see in the picture there. She had a great time at Square Fair. They were there and talking with parents and teachers, and we had all these pictures laid out. I don't know if you've ever made it to Square Fair, but it's a once a year, the first Saturday in June, and we usually try to have a table there for the school's table or the Education Committee table. And this year we were particularly interested in highlighting the fact that 16 was reopening in the fall. and we had pictures of the renovations going on inside. We were hoping to have tours, but they're working so hot and heavy right now, 2 shifts, that they didn't want us walking through there. But Carla was there, and so wasn't Cecilia. You got to see Carla there, and somebody finally put a sign on her back, School 16 Principal. Should have done that at the beginning of the afternoon.
Right.
But we had them, and we also got the X-Cats there as a draw to get attention to the schools table, and they walked in the parade, and it really worked out well to, a lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that Wilson's got this wonderful team that's known throughout the country except around here. But
John, excuse me, what do they do?
the X-Cats,
Yes.
they make these, they're the robotics team.
Oh, the ones that are in that other group?
Yeah. And so Monique Silas Lee from School 19, we traded notes, and she thought she was going to make it here today, but something must have come up. Joe Baldino, I know, is not able to make it. There was a great article in was it the DNC? I just posted a link to it on location 19, but there were 6 videos of work that they're doing over at School 29 to try to make it more friendly for disabled kids and to make people more aware of the limitations, the people who are in a wheelchair, how much extra work is it to get around and to be able to get up on over a curb or whatever. So Joe Baldino spent the day in a wheelchair finding out, so he was, that was in one of the videos.
And he's the principal
Yes.
over there.
Oh yeah, he's great. He was the coach at Wilson when my son and daughter were going to Wilson, so he's another one I go back a ways with.
It's good to
School 44. Do you have any news for us of what's going on? No? Was it you who was going to try to get some of the parents to come?
Yes. So I'm still working on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we struggle with. For 6 years, we've been really trying to get parents more involved with the committee, and it's like pulling teeth to, find somebody who can come, because most of them are running around with their kids all day long. There's always something to do, and so sometimes we've had some people say, "Why don't you have more parents at the meeting?" It isn't for a lack of trying, but we really need to work on it, and anything you can do to, help get some parents here, and hopefully we can, if we're getting them involved in a variety of things.
I forgot the big news though, actually.
Oh,
They started a parent-teacher a PTO, and 2 of the parents from my class last year are a part of it. So they really want to work and advocate for 44 school.
This is 44.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Did they start it on their own? I mean, I think that's great.
There was a meeting and the idea came up, and let's see. Shelby Mitchell, I believe, is the president, and Letitia Gray, I don't know, I'm not sure about the last name, is the vice principal, or vice president. So they really want to see some changes, so,
great.
Now, is this Donna Anderson still the principal there?
yes.
Is that you?
Well, as
No,
far as
no.
she's not.
No, I'm wondering, has there been, she's been out ill for several months now, I
Yes,
think.
she
right?
has. We haven't been told that she's not coming back,
Oh, good.
so I'm hoping that she is coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
acting?
That's okay.
I'll think of it.
Okay.
Ram Percher?
Okay.
Good. So you think you may have a PTO that's going to rev up this year?
I hope so.
Great.
Do we have any name for the, oh, could we get your name again?
Grace.
Grace? What's your last name, Grace?
Bilodeau, B as a boy.
It's on the
It's on the pre-K,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
on the pre-K?
school 44.
Yeah, she's been one of
Oh,
our
I see it right here.
frequent flyers here.
Yeah, right, you're right here. So you would know who these people are that started the PTO?
Yeah.
Shall we send them a letter, John?
Well, hopefully we'll get them here, and certainly you can forward minutes from the meeting, that we send out each time, and hopefully we can get them involved. And
John, do you think it would be helpful if we could meet in the summer when the parents might be a little freer and more?
well, we do meet in the summer.
No, I mean, encourage the parents to come to our summer meeting?
Sure. I mean, stuff goes out to whoever has ever been here,
Okay.
and
Because I think in the winter, when they have to have the kids in school, that must be very hard to get out for a night.
oh yeah. No, in fact, it was the summer, as I recall, when we finally got School 44 teachers involved with us back over at the, I don't know if you were there at that first meeting, but for over a year, we didn't have anybody from 44 coming to our meetings because we were primarily focusing on 16, and 16 was the one that was being closed, and it was 10 that was going to be closed,
It's awful.
and then the crosshairs landed on 44, and it was a few months before we got a bunch of teachers to come to one of our meetings. But once you have people coming, then that kind of energizes this group to focus on issues since then. And it's been 5 years at least that we've been fighting, trying to keep 44 from
And now it's
getting
going to be a
closed.
community school. Is that what he told us?
Well, it's, I think they're trying to do community schools wherever, but right now I don't think there's
Isn't it what he told us?
did he say that there was a community school
There
going?
was 41.
Yeah.
Yeah, 41 was the one he was talking about.
Community school.
But
And 41 is where? Lyle Avenue?
that's over at Kodak Park area. We got involved with that one because that was the school that the building I worked in at Kodak initially overlooked, and it was near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
Had many discussions about what's
This is
going on in the
On Lake
schools.
Avenue then?
It's on West Ridge. So, anyways, what's anything else that you know of for 44? One of the problems that we've had with 44, after we got the district to agree to keep 10 open over on Congress, they did a study to see which school should they close, 1, 10, or 44. And because they were under the gun from the state to close a school, and they picked 44, which was, at the time, we were trying to save 10, so we breathed a sigh of relief, and we said, my gosh, now we've got to work for 44. And for a while, they wanted to close it to use it as swing space, and it was one thing after another trying to work. We worked a lot with Mary Adams to get some resolutions passed that they would keep 44 open until 16 was renovated, and eventually they kept it open enough that we had a hurricane in Puerto Rico that brought a lot of students here, which basically made it impossible for them to close all the schools they were planning on closing. But we still need to get a long-term plan for the question right now is it going to be the same neighborhood school that it is right now, or are they going to bring some other school into 44? The Montessori program was one of the things that was talked about there for a while, but hopefully it will remain one of our neighborhood
Well,
schools.
John, didn't they have some special programs in 44 for kids that needed something special? I can't remember what it was.
Well, you have some autistic students there, I think, right?
I pretty much hang out with the preschools.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
But I remember because the teachers talked about it when they came.
Yeah, there was a tendency to have when they decided they were going to keep 40. Well, first they were going to close it, and they started phasing things out, including not having a kindergarten, which is what created this hole working its way up through the grades. And then when they were told they were going to keep it open until 16 reopened, they stopped phasing things out. But they had phased 7 and 8 and the kindergarten out. And they've been working without 7 and 8, which is kind of a plus if you're trying to get performance up in the school, because adding it when they did had probably hurt things in terms of performance. And so it went through a very significant improvement in performance back 3 years ago. They jumped 2 levels to get out of receivership, and we hoped that would keep it open, but then they were still talking about closing it. And so it seems like right now it's going to stay open for at least for the next 2 years. And the question is, does it continue to stay open as a neighborhood school, or do they bring some special program in? And I think from what I've heard, that just isn't known right now. You haven't heard anything new yet. Okay, Wilson Commencement. Jeff Ciartino was going to be here, but he hasn't made it yet. So, and we got an update on the shops that are going to remain open next year. So the last time he was here, they thought they were going to have to move out of, find another place to put their shops next year, which was what got us looking at places around here. But it sounds like they've dodged that bullet. Oasis.
Summer school, they're taking a 2-week break right now. Summer school will start July 9th. They will not have nighttime task classes. They're only during the day. There have been several articles in the newspaper or online that from highlighting some of the programs and the graduates and some personal testaments that have been really nice.
It must have been online.
Huh?
It said Oasis, right, in big letters?
Yeah.
Not in the newspaper,
No, not in the newspaper. Okay.
as far as I
So it must have been online. Yeah, they were passed along online because we all saw them as staff. They showed them to the staff.
online.
The Youth Build program has started their second cohort. In the first cohort, we've got some students going back to get their task before we look towards employment for them. And when we do Youth Build, we don't just put them in jobs. Some of them may be interested. They may find that after they take the construction class, I don't like this. But no matter what, the 6 weeks in the classroom, this is all stuff they could use in your home to fix your home. It's a really good disciplinary thing. They're not wasted skills if you decide, nah, I don't think I really like this. We do have 4 that are currently working at Habitat for Humanity, learning construction. They've been building walls. One of them has been given specialized training in cabinetry, and they are ready to work. So I will probably send out their resumes. I actually have them in the car and I forgot them. But I will contact Mike Schmidt to get a sense of, is there anywhere in the district? I mean, because contractors have to have minority contracts, or people working that are women or minorities. So we've got them. And these are dedicated kids. You know, they've gone through a test period to know that they're serious about this.
About how many kids would you have, well, roughly, Ellen?
Each class has been about 10.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And when you say kids, what's the age?
17 to 24 at-risk youth in the city. And they're operating out of 30 Hart Street. So, which is nice too, because if they decide that there's something else that they'd like to do, there's a couple of other, you know, there's engineering, there's building maintenance, there's other training there that they could access.
Would this have been called SHOP years ago, you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
No?
Wood shop.
I don't know.
Kind of. But don't these young people, must they have dropped out of school in order to enroll in this, or no?
No, some of them already have high school diplomas or their GEDs.
Okay.
But most of ours, like you can only take so many who already have their high school diplomas. The target is those that have dropped out.
Okay.
And the push for us is to get them to go back and get their high school equivalencies even when they're working. That's why Oasis having night school during the year works well.
Yeah, I attended the graduation there, or the, what did you call it? The acknowledgement ceremony that they had for the people who go through Oasis. So there were some people that were going for a GED, and there were some that were, you know, had gotten their citizenship, and a whole variety of things that you can go through Oasis for. And it was really, really great seeing the graduation, and everybody that goes through there has a little more appreciation for getting to that point than your typical high school, where they made it the first time through. These people had gone through a lot more of a challenge to accomplish their.
And that was not in the paper either.
No, well, next time I go to one of these things, I'll give you a call.
I mean, they have stuff in the paper that I think is ridiculous. You know, like cooking stuff.
Yeah.
Cooking stuff.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think it belongs in there.
Mondays, 4 to 5. Here. You.
Well,
The other thing, REACH, the homeless program.
REACH?
REACH as in reach. They are working with a hard to reach homeless, hard to place homeless because there's mental health issues, and they are looking into tiny homes. In other states, tiny homes have worked really, really well for the homeless because they're like 8 by 12, but they're a structure.
Yeah.
They are doing it in Seattle, Washington, it was highlighted, and they're talking about doing it here, and so I'm trying to get Youth Build connected to that, because wouldn't it be awesome if these youth were, wouldn't that be
Synergy.
great? Yeah. So,
Where would they put them? I mean, the tiny homes, in one
there's-
area?
If you stop and look around Rochester, there's really a lot of different places, but Canal Street could be a place they were talking about.
Off West Main?
Yeah. I mean, that there is space where they could go, but I
Yeah.
think it's first you have to get the city's buy-in to go along with that.
And they would all be in one section? So-
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a little village.
Oh.
And so, and the purpose is not for them to live there, it's for them to be able to transition. It's hard to transition from a tent, so, or a cardboard box.
Right.
So to transition from where you at least know you're safe, you can lock the door, you're safe, it's very bare basics, but
But it's home, right?
but it's, yeah.
Has any other community done this?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Yeah, they're doing it all over the United States, and Seattle, Washington, MIT is one.
Well, Seattle has a huge homeless issue.
Yeah.
And has for a long time.
Yeah, it's not weird. It seems so cold to, of course, Rochester's cold.
Cost of living is very, very high.
So it's pushed out people. Right, right.
What is
Um,
Cost of living in Seattle,
Oh,
Washington.
gotcha.
But it's working well out there. And what they do is they attach services to it. So they're working with the folks that are in these, and they're getting them paperwork that they need, medical care that they need, the things that they need to get them to move them to a place of more sustainability. And one thing I think we need to really figure out is there a way, that Family Independence Initiative that our MAPI picked up, the Anti-Poverty Initiative picked up 2 programs. One is Family Independence Initiative, and the data that's coming back from them, and I see this with our students as well, is there's a really high interest in being an entrepreneur, is running your own business. And so if there's some way, and we direct them to the library, but I'm thinking that we probably need to have something more to get to like enlighten people as to what all's involved
Have
in
you
being.
talked to the business division at Central?
Not yet.
You should,
Okay.
because if they hear that that's a high need and they can talk to you
Excellent.
and partner with you, I'm sure they would
Excellent.
put on programs on that.
I'll do that.
And then
I'll
loop
do
in
that. You're right, they
Kiva
morph.
too.
Yep.
Kiva.
Right.
Yeah, that looks like, I talked with John Curran, who has been here many times, and he's quite involved with the Tiny Home Project, and it really,
Right, you sent us great
I
links.
copied you on
Yeah.
the links to some videos on that. It really looks like a great
He's involved
thing
with
to-
that,
Yeah, John Curran, yeah.
out of St.
Very.
Monica's church.
Yeah,
Very, very involved.
Well, I have to come to my neighbor to find out.
yeah, see that? One of the things that I wanted to touch base on that cuts across all of these things and certainly applies to School 44 is we've had an ongoing problem with the district placement, not always really channeling kids to the schools where parents would like to put them and schools where there's a need to get more kids into classes. Sometimes it's hard to say what the issue is, whether it's somebody in the chain of commands that wants to like close 44 and they're trying to avoid sending kids there, but we went through for a year or two, if not more, where we know that there was a parent that had applied to get their child into either one of the pre-K programs or an early school there, and they were being told by placement wherever they went that, oh no, that school's going to be closing at some point, you don't want to go there. And then of course later on you hear from placement or whoever, well, they don't have many people applying to go to that school, so that's a good reason to close it. And the program sometimes seems to have a life of its own, and I don't know, maybe you'll run into knowing what's going on when you start work there, Cecilia, but we've run into that a lot of times with 44 and with 16, which is one of the reasons we got you here, Julie, is one of the things we've been trying to do for at least 3 years is get word out to parents in the 19th Ward area near the school that the school was coming back here, hopefully, you know, as openings come up we're bringing the kids back with the school program, but not necessarily every child who's in 16 at Scioto Street is going to want to come back here. Maybe they got into the program while the school was over there. You know, there are all sorts of reasons why kids don't move with the school. But I don't think they ever really got the word out to parents in this area. We had, they managed to get
You're talking about the school district.
the school district. You know, they had this little thing that you folks were involved in making this, or was it, anyways, this went out to people. I'm not sure if it was just neighbors in the area.
We never got any in our mailing.
Yeah, well, this went out to some folks from the district, and we were handing them out a bit at the,
Yeah, but we didn't have enough of them here.
well, yeah, but anyways, these sorts of things were, went out, but it wasn't really well, you know, you'd like to have had something go out that tells the parent that, gee, if you're interested in having your child attend this local school, which has just been renovated,
Right.
you know, apply for this, and we'll, if there's space in a particular class, we'd love to have you here, because we've been pushing for years. We'd like to see more of a neighborhood school, you know, cross section in our schools, because it's usually if you got 25% neighborhood kids in a school in Rochester, that you're doing well. And getting them to really work in that direction is hard as hell. And I'm not sure whether somebody's brother-in-law runs the bus service or what, but it's just, you know, there's a stone wall there that seems to keep things from happening that you think should really happen.
Is it back to communication again?
It could be.
Like, I thought they would be sending letters to the parents, but I don't think that's happened.
Yeah, we started talking, Superintendent Vargas was still here, and we started saying as soon as we knew the school was going into renovation, John Lang and I went to a lot of the coffee and conversations there. We were there every coffee and conversation for a year and a half, and we said many times, you know, we want to make sure that parents are alerted to the fact that the school's reopening, and, you know, you don't want to kick a bunch of kids out and say we're only going to take neighborhood kids, but you'd like to have the school morph to more of a neighborhood feel, because there are things, you know, if you go to the school that's down the street, your friends tend to become the friends you play with, and families get to know one another, and it's a community building thing. And right now we already have too many people who are renters rather than homeowners, so there's a lot more mobility than probably is ideal for the community, and having a reason to, if you got to move out of this house because of some problem, find a place down the street so your kid can still walk to school is something that you'd like to have be in the picture. And it's, it's hard to get them to do that.
John, since this has been a problem, what about if we wrote a letter to the parents? I mean, with the approval of whoever.
Good luck at finding the list of parents in the neighborhood.
You mean that's all secret?
Well, there's all sorts of things that they'll tell you that, well, they can't give you all that information because of, and there may be some real legitimate reasons why they can't hand out names and phone numbers.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's basic privacy issues.
Yeah, privacy issues.
An entity outside of the school district, they're not going to hand over private information like that. It doesn't. They could
So that
be
you have to
liable.
work it the other way. Have the parents contact the school, right? The residents.
Well, you know, you can try to make information known, such as the fact that the school is reopening and there may be openings, but it's been, the school system could contact people they know. You probably, if you do your research enough and look at who has school-age children in a neighborhood, you know, you could probably, with a lot of legwork, come up with your own list, but it's something that the district has, and we were hoping that they would use to make it known and try to build up the school with more local students, and that hasn't happened yet.
John, what about those people on the school board? Could they not?
Well, there are some people on the school board who would like to see that happen also, but it, you know,
What about sending a letter to the school board?
Yeah, well, we've had them here from time to time, and we're going to have to talk with them about that some more.
But what about sending them a letter?
But can I talk a little bit about Time to Educate, and this might answer some of your Time to Educate is a solutions-based project. We've actually trained 2 of our journalists, more than that, but 2 education reporters, and we're hiring 2 more who will be trained in it to look for solutions that are either working on a smaller scale here or in another community. And I know the busing issue and the neighborhood schools issue is something that a lot of communities are working on for the exact same reasons that you've been talking about. So a big part of that is the journalism piece, which I, by the way, I have 0 say over because I'm on the engagement editorial say. I don't do reporting or journalists. But my role will be to try to figure out what we should be looking for solutions, you know, what solutions we should be looking for. What do people really want solved? What problems are out there that we can find paths and help inform and be, you know, given the fact that we do have a platform, have a fairly large voice in helping push those things along. Obviously, we can't tackle every problem in the school district, so we're forming some advisory councils. One of them is simply researchers. You know, a lot of the colleges and universities around here do a lot of research into urban education. They know what's happening around the country and around the world. But they, of course, aren't always on the front lines. They don't know what people really are experiencing day to day necessarily. So we're also working to put together parent advocates. We're trying very hard, and we don't think we're going to get parents to come to us at all. We think we have to go to parents. We've shifted a lot of my print responsibilities over to give me more time to get out into the community and hear voices like this level and parent levels, teachers, anybody we can talk to, business people, to just get out and try to hone in on what the biggest problems or maybe small successes first. What can we solve right away, and what are obviously some bigger ones like systemic racism that clearly has to be addressed. Are we going to fix that one tomorrow? No. So it would be a range of different solutions, but right now we're sort of in that phase. We're setting up the infrastructure to try to get those parents together so we can start talking with them. That's why I'm here tonight. We're going to start hitting a lot more of the neighborhood meetings, every level, and to hear your ideas of who we should be talking with to try to identify what solutions we should be going after. So the busing and the neighborhood schools one is one I'm hearing everywhere. We're already kind of aware of that, but we definitely need people to talk about it and voices. We'll be doing all kinds of videos, a lot more online stuff, though much of it you should have seen it in the paper the last few. A lot of the bigger articles do go online, but or in print, but a lot of them are online.
Yeah.
It's called Time to Educate, your group.
And if you go to one of these classes, we actually have a webpage where you can find everything really easily. It's democratchronicle.com/time-to-educate.
Do that slower.
DNC.com what?
democratchronicle.com and then a /.
And now she spelled that out, right? Democrat and
Yes.
Chronicle is spelled out,
All
not
the way out.
DNC.
Right.
Right.
Democrat and
And you spell that out
Chronicle.
too. It's not an ampersand.
Democrat and Chronicle.
.com.
Mm-hmm.
Slash
time
time?
dash
Oh, time.
time dash to dash educate.
That's a website.
Yep.
Okay, and that will tell you what you all are trying to do, is that right?
Yes, everything's right there.
Okay. Well, I would never call you because I would think you were much too busy, but maybe I'll just write you another letter.
You could, well, honestly, I do get lots and lots of, not so many letters, so you're stood out there, but you're welcome to call anytime, or you're right, I get about 400 emails a day, and probably 10 people calling me a day from out of the blue. So I don't always answer right away or get back right away, but within a few days, I usually try to get everybody back.
How involved have you gotten with some of the issues relative to getting
It's kids.
This is an important person.
one of the issues we've had, is getting short distance busing. Have you talked to any of the folks who have been involved in getting the busing formula changed in Albany? Because the big problem we have is that 1.5 mile.
Do we know why is it in the suburbs? You don't have to live a mile and a half.
Well, you do. It's at least when my kids were little, maybe it's optional. I think the suburbs can choose to do it if they want to. But when my kids were little, we were in Wheatland Chili just for a year. But after kindergarten, if you lived within a mile of the school, they had to walk. So I think the schools have the ability to do it themselves, but it's not required by law.
The problem we run into in Rochester, of course, if you're in a little town and you say you have to be more than 1.5 miles to qualify for busing, well, that cuts your cost way down.
Exactly. It's
In the city, there are 10 schools you can go to that are more than 1.5 miles, and there are 10 schools that you could walk to easily, and they end up getting bused more than 1.5 miles away. So we're really, about 80% of the kids are getting bused, the numbers that I hear.
So we probably are going to do some reports on why that's happening like that, what the legal requirement, to inform people. And not just we can't just put it in the paper because parents aren't going to read it. We've got to go out somehow and help them understand that this is how it is. We'll probably be at libraries and that sort of thing trying to, we may have show a video but so parents are really aware of what the situation is, why it's this way, and what they would have to do, or we would help identify who would have to make it, is responsible and should be held accountable for a change if that's what they want. And then that's the point where maybe this committee writes letters or, helps organize rallies around that particular solution, right, to help. So,
Wow.
yeah, we are trying. We obviously can't tackle every issue. We don't have enough people, but we're really in the process now of trying to figure out which solutions to go after first. And the busing one comes up everywhere we go.
Yeah, it's a real big.
That's been with us for 6 years. Easily.
Have we looked at doing any like poster campaigns to rally around, School 16 and 44 that's in the neighborhoods, talking about the things they're doing good, and maybe post them in some of the places, collaborating with the neighborhood associations?
The only rally we did was at School 10 when we were fighting to keep that on Congress. Mm-hmm. And it was actually pretty effective. We had beautiful coverage from, I forgot which channel it was.
But I mean, even just posting them in
Yeah.
some of the stores and things so parents see
Mhm.
did you know that this neighborhood school has
Barbershops.
this and that, and things like that, some advertisement, I guess that's a better word for it versus campaign.
About advertising.
Have we looked into that? Thank you
About
so much.
advertising about what's going on in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And advertising to our neighborhood.
Yeah, to our neighborhood. I mean, making a sales pitch.
Well, I thought this was one of the worst. We don't want this. Because it didn't tell you a thing.
Well, if you didn't know anything, it told you something.
It's better than that. But who was the person that did some drawings for us, John?
Oh, that was, yeah, right. Those were the architects that did the ones that we got pictures.
Yeah, but-
Yeah, those were the architectural drawings that
Couldn't
we
they
had
do
from
small,
SRW.
just little small things where we could underneath it write what's going on?
Yeah, we can.
Could we get somebody to do that?
Yeah, we can probably piece something together from what we've got in terms of pictures. You know, it's
We
mainly.
can?
Sure.
All right.
And we've also addressed the safe passage,
What is that?
you know, for safety about being able to walk to the neighborhood schools.
Yeah.
That's a big
So,
concern.
some of the Healthy Kids has worked with some of the schools, like they worked with school 19 and I think school 10, trying to do walking school bus, trying to get some bunch of parents to bring to go around and pick up kids here and there. Problem is, until you get a concentration of kids from the neighborhood going to that school, walking school bus can be a real long walk to come up with 10 kids, you know.
Right.
So it's
The struggle.
a struggle, and the only way you're going to get kids from the neighborhood going to the neighborhood school is if they can get busing. You know, it may be 3 blocks, but it's got to cost a hell of a lot less to bus them 3 blocks than a mile and a half.
So I can almost guarantee that'll be an issue that we pick up really early.
Great, because that is really, I think, one of the things that stops us from really getting back to neighborhood schools.
Right.
And back in 2002 or whenever it was, they got the managed school choice program instituted for Rochester. That, of course, combined with the 1.5 mile busing, just absolutely everybody had a right to ask to go to the #1 school in terms of their
And now
favorite
it-
school, and if they didn't get that, the city put them wherever. And they don't seem to, for some reason, you know, as much as it would be to their advantage to put them in the nearest school, that doesn't always happen.
Right.
So,
Don't they have a choice? I mean,
Well,
can't the parents say, well, we...
yeah, the parents would like to have their kid on a bus, so they could say, I want to send them to school #1 or something that's 1.5 miles away,
Just so they
and
can take the bus.
just so they can take the bus. And I can understand that. I mean, especially if you're in a rough neighborhood, and just
You
the
have to
convenience
work,
of
and
putting.
you have to, you have a baby, or you have other kids going to different schools, it can get really tricky.
So-
Also, attendance dives in the wintertime if you have to walk to school.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the parents in preschool do walk their children to school. And we do see lower attendance in the winter.
You see, I think it's real help. Well, of course, I walked to school.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I did too, you know.
But I mean, I think...
And it was uphill both ways.
Right, but I think it's good for the kids, and that's why they should have at least half an hour of recreation at lunchtime. I don't mean while they're eating, I mean when they're...
Sure, yeah.
And that they should go outside.
Recess, yes.
Recess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that is critical.
hmm
I mean, who could sit in one classroom all day and never... I could.
So how, we still have recess at 44?
We do. And I just have to comment, the worst thing you can do is take recess away from a child.
That's right.
So,
It's the
no
best.
matter what, I
Yeah.
take the kids out, they get to have their gross motor time, either inside or outside, weather permitting.
Right.
So,
I mean, besides that, I mean, I couldn't sit inside all day.
And one of the things also that, as we've tried to get parents involved, there are some parents, and they've come to some meetings, who are, quite often single mothers, And they are very devoted to their children, and they have, they've got the background to really work the system and take advantage of the open enrollment policy. Not everybody who is putting their kids in the system have that same, time and know-how to make use of it. So a lot of the kids that end up being bused somewhere aren't necessarily being bused to a school that's really advantageous to them. And then the parent can't really go to their event because it means changing buses downtown to go off on a different spoke. And in the evening, that's not an easy thing to do. So there are some real problems. And so when we started pushing for neighborhood schools here, there were some people who resisted because they knew how to work the system. So you say neighborhood schools, and it sounds maybe a little racist that you're trying to tell a parent that's in a neighborhood where there may be a lot of poverty that you're trying to do away with the open busing thing, and that's not the case. You just would like to have as much as possible where it's suitable to get kids go to their neighborhood school.
There was a lot bigger difference between schools than there is now. Now,
Yeah, the margin is small.
there's not a lot of great choices, is what it's come down to.
Yeah, even neighborhoods that have, maybe 60 or 70% minority or poverty level population, the school is probably 90%, kids who need to have their lunch paid for because parents who can afford it either are homeschooling or sending their kids to a different school. So there isn't that much difference from one
Between
school to the
the
other.
results are all.
John, I'm still not clear, and this is not here, but who do we contact with City Rec? Who do we write?
Yeah, I'll get you her name. Yeah. Okay, so I think you've probably heard of.
I have one more thing.
One more thing, good. That's what we like, is somebody who's enthusiastic.
Yes. The great thing about preschool is parents drop their children off and pick them up. And this year, we were asking parents, are you coming back next year? And we had some families that said no, because they couldn't get all of their children back here at 44. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Freeman, the vice principal, got a contact for those parents and had them go and talk to him. And that person was able to put the family back at 44.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
So,
Good for him for.
That's good.
yeah,
That's really good.
yeah. So,
Great.
It makes you
so
Yeah.
I'm so glad my kids are coming back.
Now, Melanie Funches is the board person for School 44, I think, right? Yeah, she is, because I talked to her last week.